workshop on green schools organized by Dr. A.K. Sharma sir, Regional Education Officer, Bharati Vidya Bhavan, North and Northeast Region. But before that, I would like to thank our mentor, Dr. A.K. Sharma sir, for organizing such workshops for us. Sir, we are grateful to you for your guidance and support. Thanks always for your advice and insights for our professional growth and the time and effort you have invested in mentoring us. Before we start, let us have the blessings of Almighty. Lord Ganesha Vandana brings good fortune in both personal and professional life. Divine blessings of Lord Ganesha purifies the soul of the worshippers. So let's start the session with Ganesh Vandana.
जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश प्यारे जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश प्यारे एक दंत अति विशाल शोभित सिंदूर भाल मोतियन की कंठ माल नैना रत्नारे जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश प्यारे सुर नर मुनि धरत ध्यान पावत बैकुंठ धाम तुलसीदास करत नमन चरण में तिहारे जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश प्यारे जय गणेश प्यारे
It is with immense pleasure and deep sense of honor to welcome Dr. A.K. Sharma sir for the inaugural session of the workshop. Sir, please. Namaskar, sir.
Namaste. Namaste to all. I think I'm audible well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
So welcome to you all in this special Green School workshop. And the Green School workshop, we are conducting this workshop in a month when we celebrate one Mahotsav. Some of you might be familiar that our founder, Kulapati K.M. Munshiji, had started one Mahotsav when he was the governor of UP. So what is the Green School and why Green School? And why we are conducting this workshop? This workshop is having many folds. Now, first, very important thing is that we are building one environmental awareness. That is, we are knocking on your doors about the critical issues like climate change, pollution, biodiversity loss, resource conservation. And we are telling you that tell the students about the impact of planet and motivate positive behavior change in them through environment. Then the national education policy always say about the experiential learning. So this type of workshop goes beyond theory. As you'll see that we are offering certain activities. Of course, online we cannot do the activities, but we are referring to the activities like composting, recycling, energy audit, gardening, etc. etc. So it reinforces classroom learning with real environmental practices. As a teacher, it encourages sustainable change in us. sustainable habits in us, such as waste segregation, water and energy conservation, reducing single-use plastic, and this type of behavior spread from schools to families and families to communities. But it can only spread if you practice it. If you are taking a polythene bag and going to school and saying children don't use polythene bag, will the children understand your verses, your sentence? They will laugh on you. So you have to be role model in making a school green. And then you have to foster leadership among the students. You can make them the green leader, environment leader, change agent, like so. So the students who are working like so feel ownership and accountability. Then maybe that one day you can involve the whole school in that. You can involve teachers, more teachers, principals, vice principals, your administrators, parents, staff, and you can involve everybody to make your school as a green school. You might have read about the SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. So if you see, it is directly related with SDG 4, which is dealing with quality education, SDG 12, which is responsible consumption and production, SDG 13, climate change, and SDG 15 is life on land. Then finally, it prepares future eco citizens. Because by doing all these things, children will learn critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, and they will prepare themselves green career and responsible citizenship. And by this, your school can also get recognition, not only in your particular area, but everywhere. You can not only you can earn certification from the government, not only that you can get media visibility or community support, but you will be known in the community for your work. And it is self-satisfaction. We know in Sanskrit we used to say Swant Sukhai. That is for our own satisfaction, we are making green. So nothing like that listen to us what we are doing and what you have to do and be the green ambassador in your school and finally to the community. So thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Gurpreet Kaur uh, is a is coordinator for this program. She, all know she's a wonderful teacher, teaching biology to the students of SL Public School, Amritsar, and she is a CBSE resource person. And beside this, it is her initiative for this program that you are attending today.
Thank you, sir.
So I welcome and hand over this program to the coordinator, Dr. Gurpreet Kaur. And thank you, Gurpreet, for your
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
enthusiasm, for your participation, and for your initiative.
Thank you, sir. Before today's first session, we just want to tell you about the group activity to be performed on 27th of July, that is Sunday. There will be 5 members in a group. One amongst the 5 members in a group will be the group in charge. What you have to do is that in a group you have to plan out green school action. Sir has sent many, pics in the group itself for the Green School Action Plan. A wonderful initiative for that. You can go through them also. So plan that it may be a school calendar for planning the activities or various activities you can perform in a school with time duration, please. The group leader will present these activities, whatsoever your group will be planned, they will be presenting these activities on Sunday. That's why on Sunday you can see it is group Green School Action Plan group activity. That will be the first session. So we will make groups from your attendance, or you have a choice that you can make your own groups and send to me after the session only. If you are of a particular school, you can make the groups also. Many such activities have been shown by respected sir also in the Green School group. You can go through them also. So one will be your leader who will be presenting this action plan on Sunday. That will be the action plan group activity. So to start with today's session, we have Mrs. Taru Mehta amongst us for the session Understanding Green Schools. We welcome you, ma'am. Taru Mehta ma'am is a senior fellow and associate director, Environment Education and Awareness. She is an educationist for sustainable development practitioner with more than 18 years of professional experience. She has her forte in program management, capacity building, and training programs in the field for youth empowerment, policy, and advocacy. She has been instrumental in developing training modules on environment and sustainability, children's workbook on waste management, IEC material, and online MOCs to reach out to the target group in domains of waste, water, sanitation, and hygiene, climate change, and energy. In Terry, she has worked on several capacity building programs, such as Green Olympiad project that we all know, waste management project, Project Search, and so many. A Bharti Infratel and Terry initiative is there that is strengthening water and sanitation in urban settings. A Terry USAID program, there are several national and international publications to her credit and represents Terry at global platforms like the UNESCO's Global Action Program. She is passionate about path-breaking education and research practices and is a management professional from Institute of Rural Management, and prior to Terry, she has also worked in development alternatives. We welcome you, ma'am. So over to ma'am for her session. Taru
Thank you,
ma'am.
Dr. Gurpreet, ma'am.
Thank you.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are audible. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Gurpreet Kaur for having me here. In fact, starting with actually Dr. Anil Sharma, who
Yes.
actually suggested my name. Sir has been very instrumental in promoting Green Olympiad for us in all the BBB schools. And we cannot think that Green Olympiad will be a success without his support and without support of all the teachers and principals of BBB. So thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here today. My topic is very interesting and something which is very, very close to my heart. Understanding green schools. And when we come from a space or a building or any infrastructure that we come from, it is very important how what is the kind of feeling we get in that particular infrastructure, whether it is our house, whether it is our office, or whether it is a school space. So when it comes to green school, we would be talking about actions as well as its impact on the building and on the children, and also what as teachers and principals we can do to promote green school, nuances within the building as well as within the habits of children. So let me first share my screen with all of you. And please allow me to close my camera because I think there might be some issue with regard to bandwidth, my internet connection.
It's done, ma'am.
Can you see my screen?
No,
Yes,
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 screen is visible,
yes,
ma'am.
Okay.
we
All
can.
right. Okay. So coming to the introduction, as Erin Levin ma'am says, she is the managing director and a world-renowned architect, managing director at Urban Resolve, who is into construction of school buildings and other spheres. A school is the anchor of the community. Students need to think of it as a place of permanence. The architecture is a manifestation of that permanence. Now, we all know that when our children come to school, that's the first institute or the first space that they come to after their homes. And it is very critical that when we look school as a space, it should give them a feeling of themselves, a feeling of what they feel at home. So it is very critical that when we are designing, our spaces within the schools, or when we are doing certain activities within the schools, students should feel at home, and students should feel that this is the place of highly sensitive things that has to be discussed, has to be taught to them. So it's very critical for them to understand all those aspects which they see around. Now it's also very critical because as teachers, you all are teaching the students, that is fine, but as students, what they are observing within the buildings, within the spaces, within playgrounds, etc., is also a learning which they imbibe when they live at when they spend their time at school. And the quality time of their day, from say for example 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. around, they stay in school. So that's the most qualitative time of their lives that they are spending in school. So which is why it is critical to organize our spaces into spaces of greenery, spaces of giving them a feeling that it is eco-friendly, it is natural, nothing is what do you say, nothing is temporary here. It is all giving a sense of permanence. So talking about the rationale of green school, why should we talk about green school, and why we are talking about green school for these 3 days, is because it ensures healthy environment for our students, teachers, and all the members of the school fraternity who are coming at that campus. It helps to keep the features and the infrastructure clean, green, and it also in some way helps the school reduce their expenditure. Now, say for example, since we are talking about green school, there will be one factor where we will talk about energy conservation. Now, you all would be understanding the amount of electricity bill that the school generates. So green school schools ensure some kind of monetary savings, while at the same time keeping the environment clean and keeping the surrounding clean and healthy for a healthy future. It is also very critical that it's not about just the campus, it's also about the spaces in the neighborhoods, in the vicinity, what kind of communities are residing around the school, what kind of environment we are giving to those neighborhood communities is also very critical, because school is as an institution belongs to the entire area. Like we there is some kind of connection that even the neighborhood communities form with that particular institute, because they keep the momentum. They see the momentum in the schools, they see children coming in and teachers coming in, so they know the routine, they know school is a part of their life. So neighborhood communities are also very very critical to and for schools also to understand that how schools as spaces are responsible even for their communities in general. So it's very critical to have green schools, green attributes of green school within a campus, so that all these aspects are met. Plus, on the contrary, on the other hand, as Dr. Sharma has said, that globally and nationally, there are many environmental as well as sustainable development indicators, policies in place, which each individual has to cater to. And how many schools we have in India? We have around more than 14 lakh schools in India. So imagine the kind of impact every campus can put in when it comes to eco-friendly practices. So imagine if 14 lakh schools become green, will it impact our environment? 100% it will give positive impact, because all the students, all the schools will be driving one solid agenda of taking steps which are environment friendly, which are close to nature, which is close to the planet, which will further help us and our future generations to develop in future in a very sustainable fashion. Now, coming to the elements of green schools, there are various positions, spaces, elements of a green school. We can talk about energy, we can talk about water, we can talk about waste, we can talk about greenery within the campus and outside the campus. We can talk about, so there are various aspects, and I will be sharing few examples here. It doesn't encompasses me all. Maybe I have missed out certain points, but the idea here is that when Dr. Gurpreet also gave you all that assignment of the last day, pick and choose activities which is under your control and which is under your possibilities. Because if we are aiming at very high outcomes and very high impacts, not even single steps can be taken. So my advice to all of you is that you listen to all these examples. These are very basic, simple examples which everyone can adopt. But you should also look into consideration what and how things are available within your campuses and how best you can utilize it without spending much money and much time on it. Because if in order to make things sustainable and long term, we have to do things which are under our control. So coming to the water conservation plans, so water is a very useful resource. We all know that, and within the campus, water is used in sanitation as well as for drinking purposes, for cleaning and stuff like that. It is very very critical, and I'm not sure what is the size of the campuses of all the schools and all the teachers that I'm talking to. Your schools must be huge, because in Delhi, I see that there is a mix of schools. There are few schools where the campuses are very big, but there are few schools which are constructed in just buildings. So it is very critical to have permanent resources, professionals, staff, helping staff, cleaning staff, peons, etc., to regularly check the leakages and pipe fittings and everything as part of your water conservation plan. It is critical that we see that there is no wastage, and there are people assigned to do that task. In fact, not just the grade 4 staff, we can even make our student responsible and appoint duties to our students to look at these checks and balances. Uh, in most of the institutes now, rainwater harvesting is a compulsory feature of the building. So it is very very critical to see whether in BVP we have still been able to crack this. Lot of state governments are putting a lot of focus on all the buildings to make rainwater harvesting as a necessary feature. So in case there is a provision, or if in case there are some budgetary allocations, we can check on constructing rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is also so there are different ways to make rainwater harvesting. There are few very expensive models which can be made, but there are also few very simple ones where all one needs to do is do a pipeline fitting on the terrace of the school, and do the connections well so that water gets recharged. So that is not very expensive. It also gives you some way heads up to saving and conserving water. Accessibility is another part. Now, it's very critical to also see what we are teaching our students and what actions the schools are taking. So if we are saying that we have to save water, we have to respect mother nature, and and if we are taking water as from ground, we are doing a bore well, or we are doing some kind of pumping mechanism. So just check, just talk about it, whether it is environment friendly or not. Are we setting right examples to the students? How is it that we do actions which students notice, and they think that, okay, my school is on the right track? So we must see, if we are accessing water, if we are providing drinking water, where is it coming from? How is it coming from? Whether it is it whether whatever actions we are taking is environment friendly or not. Because let me tell you one thing, we think that our students may not know a lot of things, but today's generation is very smart. They know much more than us. They all of them have access to internet all the time. So their knowledge is not less. So what they see is what they believe in. So I request you all to necessarily take this action. Then avoiding contamination is very, very critical. This happens not necessarily in the drinking water, but generally when we dispose of chemicals in the labs, how the chemicals are getting disposed, where is it getting contaminated, if at all it is getting contaminated. So just these small checks and balances we need to keep in place. Irrigation is very critical. If there is a huge garden in the school campus, are we adopting the best way to water the plants and trees? So are we using techniques like drip irrigation, sprinkler method? So all these needs to be taken care of. One very good example is that, even in drip irrigation, you may not spend much money. Maybe give students like a project. We were part of this waste management project that Terry was doing in Bangalore. And one school came up with this very good idea that they collected all the PET bottles, and they filled the PET bottles with water and just did one hole in it, and they left it around a tree. So that ways they did the drip irrigation, and we really liked the idea. And the project also won one of the best prizes, because the impact that it created was very good. And students learned two ways, like they have to take care of the plants, as well as adopt strategies, adopt very interesting methodology to save water, as well as to reuse waste. So this is one example that I thought I'll share with all of you. Water used for sanitation. This is again very, very critical, how we are using water for cleanliness purposes and in toilets. And are we able to recycle the wastewater that we are using? Again, few of these strategies that are listed here is a little, resource consumption will be there. You will have to convince the management to basically see how recycling of water can be done, and if there is a possibility of doing that. So these are certain bits and pieces that you can take forward. And plus, of course, there are several other ways where we can teach students on how to conserve water, which I have not listed in details here. Maybe bringing water bottles from homes, so that we consume less drinking water at the campus. And students shouldn't waste water while drinking, while drinking from water tanks, etc. And giving checks and balances to the students, so that they themselves know what has to be done within the campus. Similarly, we can there's another problem that we face within the school campus, is the problem of waste. And largely, what kind of waste do we generate at school? It is largely paper waste, agricultural waste, waste from the class. Usually it's pencil shavings and all of those things, very, very basic, but then yet the amount of it is very large. What else? What all other kinds of waste we get from schools? It could be anything related to chemicals or batteries, or even like e-waste we get from schools. So these are some kind of waste which are very peculiar for schools. And as and this should be a this is a generic presentation, information that I'm giving, but waste management plan should be very, very campus specific, because campuses could be different. There are a few schools who also have paper recycling machines these days installed. In Delhi, I see a lot of schools have that, and I think Delhi government provides them with a subsidized paper recycling machine. So I think waste management in general is important, not just in school but at home also. And we must start from home. Why? Because if we start segregating at home dry and wet waste, that is the time when the habits of students start. So and in schools also, if they see two kinds of dustbins in the class or in the school, that is when they will get students will get soft messaging on these aspects. These are some examples. We should have different color bins. You all know that we should be labeling it them, so that students, while going through the campus, they see it and they imbibe it without even teaching them biodegradable and non biodegradable. We should have special collection points for batteries, hazardous waste, electronics, etc. Dry waste can be recycled, and it is very, very critical, because as I said, there's a lot of paper, plastic, books, and all the other stationary material that is there. See if that can be recycled. Can we tie up with any organizations who can collect dry waste and give you something in return? So, giving you examples again of schools around, there are few schools who are tied up with an organization called IPCA. Just you can note down if you want to. It's IPCA is the organization in Delhi that collects plastics and paper from school campuses. So what schools do in Delhi is that they encourage they encourage students to get dry waste from home to school, so that the amount of waste that is collected is large enough for an organization to come and collect the waste and get it recycled. So students have that habit from home, where they segregate their waste and do it as and deposit it within the schools. So for students, the psyche that they have is that schools are encouraging them to recycle their waste. So they view schools like that. And it's not just schools, it's also the parents and the communities that see institutions like that. So this is something that one of us the schools can do. Another thing is that how many schools would have compost pits, like so it's important that we can have compost pits within the school campus. And it is critical, because if you have gardens, it will also get used, and you will again save a lot of money in wasting in chemicals and all. So wet waste can be treated there. Again, here you can take expert advice from Terry and from other organizations who are working on these technical issues. Hazardous waste, of course, I've spoken that we should have one common point where all the hazardous waste is collected, and we should see that it is out of students reach. And e-waste, again, another way to tie up with another organizations who are into e-waste collection, because every 2-3 years the technology changes, and so do our systems and other technology related products. So these are few things which are critical, and it is also critical to see what all problems we are facing and in what magnitude we are facing. And I'll talk about doing audits and all. So once the students and other people are trained, it becomes very, very beneficial. Now, coming to energy saving plan, energy saving plan is also interesting. critical as well as very, very, it's a, it's, I think, one plan where even management wants to do a lot, because it is, because it is directly connected to, even saving our, the school's monetary part, and so that the bills get reduced, and we still get a lot of energy saved from following the actions. So as the options are mentioned here, we should adopt efficient lighting options. First of all, the kind of infrastructure that is available, we have to see that our classes are well ventilated. It has lot of windows, so that during the day we do not require lights at all. Of course, fans are necessary, but then fans could be there could be regular operational and maintenance visits by the electricians, so that we always get this option of how the wiring is happening, whether the electricity is not getting wasted, if there are any leaks and leaks and all there also. So we need to see that all the electronic appliances that are there are running in full efficiency. Making students part of energy conservation plans. I mean, I think schools are blessed because there's no dearth of helpers or I should say monitors in the school. You have bandwidth of so many students who could be trained and made responsible for so many environmental related aspects. And I'm sure in schools there must be plans to involve them in such activities. Outreach and advocacy within the school, it's very important that right messaging goes to school even without teaching. So and these soft messaging could mean that we dedicate not just environment day for celebrating environment, but having environment related activities every month, or even the messaging related to environment placed at important positions, locations where students visit in greater numbers and in much more frequency. So our outreach and advocacy will depend on that. Energy audits is very important. I'll talk about audit even beyond, because it's very important to know where we are wasting energy and how we can save them. Operation maintenance, I said, it's very critical to understand if there are any leaks or if there are any checks that are required, especially even electricity theft, especially when the school is in a locality with a lot of houses around, or maybe there is a community in place. Are there any aspects where the electricity is being stolen from? Like I'm sure like because communities are residing around the school, you never know what kind of wiring somebody does that school's electricity gets stolen. So all those checks and balances needs to be regularly monitored, so that all these things are maintained. Plus we save environment and we also save some money for the school. Behavioral change activity is very, very critical. Dr. Sharma mentioned about it in the beginning. And it just not happens once or twice. It will, if we are continuing with the activities for very long with the students, I'm sure all of them will be interested to carry forward the legacy of the school. Effective use of bigger spaces. So if the schools have auditoriums, this point is very important. If the schools have auditorium or big halls, which usually schools have, please see that the bigger halls are not utilized by 4 or 5 students or teachers. And it should be the house, the hall should be full, so that even if we are using the electricity, it doesn't come across as if we are wasting electricity. So the bigger spaces or the bigger halls and classrooms should be utilized in a very effective manner. Use light reflective colors on the walls of classrooms. Again, as I said, that within the classroom, the design of the classroom should be such that it promotes energy saving, maybe having big windows, as I said, and even reflective colors like lighter colors on the walls, so that students feel that there's a lot of light within the class. Renewable energy options, very very cost intensive, we understand that. And a lot of boarding schools have these options because they also have to run a hostel. But see if this is doable. And are there any model schools in the whole BVB legacy of schools? So if there are any model schools, this should be one best practice that should be there within the school campuses. Efficient means of transport. Again, I mean, I would say that most of the schools have a very methodological transport system. I see it in all my in the schools that we interact with. In fact, even in my daughter's schools, the transport thing is quite laid out because her school is in a very crowded place, and if the school don't manage the traffic, it becomes very difficult during morning hours as well as afternoon hours. And I'm sure even schools in such locations would understand what I'm trying to say here is. So promotion of carpooling, walking, using school buses and cycling should be highly promoted. We should discourage students who are coming in private cars, because that just creates commotion and disturbs the entire traffic management. Again, here advocacy and outreach will play a critical role. And here I would say, I think even the parents should be nudged, because all of us as parents want our children to be extremely comfortable. But then as since these are growing years, it is also very critical for students to understand these nuances and see where the bigger picture is, what kind of problem one might face to for any general like daily operation kind of a work. So it's important that our parents also should be nudged about it. And schools are very strong institutions even in the lives of parents, because at my time, when I was a student, my parents used to be very very conscious of the fact about any messaging that was coming from school. I'm not sure currently what the practice is, but at our times it used to be very different. So this is again, the messaging is very important. Traffic management by students. This used to happen in my school when I was a kid, and even I've seen students being part of the traffic management uh, in couple of schools in Delhi. So all the office bearers, which students who are in their class 12th and 11th, which are senior students, are involved in for 10-15 minutes with teachers to see what kind of traffic is at the road. So they take out time 10 minutes before the schools shut. They are asked to help teachers to manage the traffic. It's not just not about traffic, but it's also about noise pollution. So both these aspects needs to be taken care by, and again, students can be very good resources for it. Effective messaging for students and parents, I have already covered. Uh, Another feature which we felt at Terry, we feel very closely about this concept. And also, this messaging, I'm putting it here because in Delhi we have very limited spaces in schools. And so it's critical that if we don't have large spaces, we still have smaller nutri or herbal gardens, which will give students an understanding of why plants are important, and how critical it is to grow your own small little garden, which will give you some benefits in terms of providing you with mint, coriander, with some medicine, some skin related plants like aloe vera and all. So it's very very important that students in general should know about certain critical plants which can be used in some kind of health ailments. Like we use tulsi, or we use chamomile tea, chamomile for sleep reliefs and all. So all these small little factors are important. So again here, we'll have to be very conscious of the fact that, is it okay to do a garden? First of all, is there space enough to do a nutri herbal garden? Appointing students for the cause, giving students the duty of planting trees and taking care of trees, and what will happen during summer vacation? Are there staff? Are there enough staff to take care of once the school gets over? So all those criticalities needs to be looked at and seen, and whatever actions as teachers or as students we do, it's also important to see how the surrounding areas, like not surrounding areas, I would say, how would people around us would see these actions, and whether they are also supporting. So it's also important that while we are making our students and peer teachers train on all these aspects, it's also very critical to train our support staff into doing all these things. So nutri and herbal gardens will definitely depend on the spaces each school has. So these are some of the action points that we can do, and all these aspects, all these environmental actions cater to SDGs and to the national targets that all of us have. Not all of us, like it is on all, it is on all citizens, it's on all industries. So as schools also, we have our own indicators. Environment audits are necessary. Post this workshop, I can share with you audit sheets also if you want to see it. All these aspects, all these factors are important, because we will, after doing audit, we will know what indicators we have to put more emphasis on. So it's important that students are taught about what are audits, how does it take place. There are assessments and survey form kind of a sheets that we have on all these audits, and students can fill it with teachers, with school, with students, with fellow students, and see where do we stand as of today, and then design strategies accordingly. So, Dr. Gurpreet, if you allow, I will share these audit sheets with all the teachers, and maybe when they are coming up with their green action plan, they can even refer to their audit sheets. It's
Yes,
not
ma'am.
compulsory, it's just a suggestion.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is very critical, because here we know where actually we are using the resources, and where we actually are wasting resources, and where is the gap, like can we do something about the gap. So that will give you a bird's eye view of what should be done within each campus. Moving on, yes, another critical aspect is that our science labs, all of you are science teachers, I believe, and it's important that the our science labs are also made in a way that it caters to some kind of sustainability within the labs itself. So our labs should be very well ventilated, and we should utilize the sunlight, as we are saying for the classes. All our classes should be like that, all our labs should be like that. The laboratories utilities should be chosen and managed for loss of resources, such as, again, we see that all the faucets are in place, there's no leakages, there are no taps flowing here and there, students are not playing there. So in a way, these are discipline of a lab, I understand, but this is also somewhere cater to being environment friendly. Alcohol or digital thermometers could be used instead of mercury lab thermometers. Mercury is unsafe, so we can use alcohol or digital thermometers. Install spill containment trays in chemical storage areas, and filters could be installed at sinkholes, etc. So there could be many more ways to make our labs green. These are some aspects that I have mentioned, please look at those aspects which are very, very critical to you. In fact, I was reading about it, and they also said that, even storing of chemicals becomes an issue at times. So maybe, we buy chemicals also in smaller quantities, because storing and disposing them also becomes very critical. So all these aspects needs to be taken care of and seen as critical factors of making spaces green. Uh, I would like to talk about green school buildings, though I know it may not be in your hands, but I'll talk about it from the point of view of Terry also. My organization, Terry, has a green building rating, and they also have a green building rating system for existing school buildings. So don't think that, um, so we'll have to construct new buildings and get into some kind of alterations. No, it's not that. It's about measuring how are buildings impacting the environment, what kind of emissions the building in itself creates. So it's not about students, it's not about people who are inside the campus, but it's about the kind of resources we have used to construct the building, and the emissions in terms of the emissions that are there in terms of natural practices of the planet. So again, saying that we should be the design of the buildings should be such that it caters to good indoor air quality and lighting. There should be enough light. We should be using very less electricity when it comes to lighting. Plus there should be a lot of ventilation, and so that there are no hazards in terms of particulate matter settling in, or all of those things. Energy efficiency I have already covered. Use of natural resources in an efficient manner. There are certain building material that are used, which doesn't keep the ambient temperature down. It's always that the ambient temperature is higher. So if the ambient temperature is higher because of you using certain kinds of building material, then what we'll have to use more cooling and more air conditioning, or maybe more fans. So I am not sure, I'm not very sure about what kind of building materials are these, but maybe I think I'll take this back and give you information on this also. There are certain building materials which are coolant in nature. So if the buildings are created through those materials, then our greha rating gives them marks, gives them rating that it's a green building. um, Similarly, the kind of audits and the kind of operation and maintenance that are being done also caters to this particular aspect. Again, finishing and fixtures and ground maintenance, which is also non-toxic, should be part of the building. So for knowing more about Griha, maybe you can Google down. I'll write it in the chat. It's GRIHA. Griha rates all the buildings, but there is a particular variant of school rating also, which you all can look into. In my introduction, Dr. Gurpreet mentioned about my role in UNESCO. So I'll tell you a little about this and how UNESCO is very, very active and critical organization in terms of talking about education for sustainable development. So UNESCO is an apex body for ESD. ESD is Education for Sustainable Development. As Sir said, SDG 4 is for quality education. So within SDG 4, there is a target 4.7. 4.7 is for ESD, and it says that how how as teachers, as educators, we can push uh, environment agenda within different curriculums, within different subjects. So UNESCO is the key organization, and UNESCO gives a lot of guidelines to all the member states, all the countries, to adopt these practices. In India, it is still seen under the gamut of environment education, but UNESCO sees it more as ESD, and Terry also tries to put in the global perspective of having ESD as part of various programs and various other educational work that we do. So UNESCO has come up with this greening curriculum, and they are spreading it through. If I'll share this PPT with all of you, you can. So the learning resources, it's mentioned here. You can go through the report. It's a very interesting report on how, as educators, or how as school management, we can try to see ways and means in which we can make our curriculum green. Now, curriculum doesn't really mean that we change our concepts and we change our way of teaching, but it's more towards making it more environment related, and making it more sustainable development related, I would say. So if you see this circle, the key principles of just a second, the key the circle, it says justice promoting, quality content, comprehensive and relevant, just a second, and action oriented. So so all these aspects needs to be taken care of when we are designing any lesson plan. And when it's so action oriented is very easy, like even if we are teaching, say for example, maths, and we are trying to give an example to student on how they can do a multiplication, or how we teach them unitary method. So within the problem itself, we could give examples of, say, of trees, of of waste, of water, and then try to make them solve the problem. So it's about clear messaging. It's about how, as teachers, we think it is critical. In fact, this is one learning that I share with all the teachers when I do a teacher workshop, is that the teachers workshop should have teachers not from science background and social studies background, because you already know most of the things. The best teachers who should be attending environment activities is sports teacher, and a teacher who is like a counselor, or who is like, who takes care of different extracurricular activities, because for them it is very critical to understand where we are bringing in the nudges of environment and sustainable development. Now, all these factors should also lead to some kind of skilling within the students. And when it comes to skilling, I'm not talking about interventions that are done by junior students like middle school or low or primary school, but especially with regard to our senior secondary students. Because for them, that is the time when they are deciding their careers, where they are doing their career choices. So it's critical to drive environment education from from the notion of taking actions within the campus, to seeing where their aspirations are coming from. Is climate change, can we use climate change as an opportunity? You can give some discussion pointers to students, and say how can this is a problem, can we see it as an opportunity? And then let's see what students come up with. There are different nuances where we can bring in senior students and push them towards green careers and green jobs through ESD practices. Partnerships with NGOs and CS. So basically here I would say these are few critical aspects that we need to look at in the campus, and see what is available and what is possible in our own um, uh, spheres. Now, this is related to, Terry's competency in ESD. I would talk about why it is very important to have partnership with NGOs and CSOs. Many schools are reluctant to have these partnerships in place, but let me tell you that, you know, though schools have lot many teachers, you all are very highly, like, qualified and experienced and very talented, but it's also very critical to open the gates of learning and try to see what each of us have to offer. So as teachers, your role is very critical. You all are pillars of for the school as well as for the students. So, and even like if you have, so NGOs and CSOs are different stakeholders that could be of some value to all of you. Plus, it could be vice versa also. For NGOs and CSOs also, we need schools. We need our schools to be active. We need our schools to, contribute towards environment. So partnerships, green school, having green schools is very, very critical, but it is also critical to keep enhancing the learning curve by partnering it with various stakeholders in this sphere. So, talking about few aspects why I am here and why Terry is into ESD is that globally, uh, Terry is a partner of UNESCO, and UNESCO, we follow UNESCO's rule of, propagating ESD within the country. And in 2021, so since the very beginning of this century, from 99 onwards, UNESCO has coined this term ESD, and there have been various 5-year plans that UNESCO had placed to propagate ESD. But in 2021, they launched a program called ESD for 2030, which is a key enabler for achieving SDGs. And and why this got launched in 2021? Because after COVID, whatever actions were taken place till 2019, 2020, there was a very slow gap. There was a very big gap during the COVID era. So all the environment actions that were happening globally were were kept on halt. But whereas we saw changes in the environment happening naturally, it was getting better naturally because human beings were restricted to the houses. We all know that it was all in the news. So, but the actions and the education, the learning part of it was a little restricted at that point of time because of online class, teachers, and everybody was struggling with online mediums. Even offices were finding it difficult to cope up with, and even, I mean, I'm sure like even teachers and schools found it difficult. So in 2021, this got lost. To rebuild the momentum of strengthening ESD, this program was launched, and Terry is one of the partners, and that is where we implement our programs under the whole gamut of ESD. And schools and colleges are our biggest stakeholders, and we work with them very closely. So I'm sure all of you know about Green Olympiad. Green Olympiad is our flagship initiative. Here also, though it is the main focus of the project is doing the quiz program, but it's not about just the competition. It's about how the phase of preparation is taken up by a teacher to reach out to a student. Quiz could be an ultimate, an action, but what happens behind the scenes, we all know that teachers encourage students. There are different classes that are going in. You all put a lot of effort in making students practice what's there. So it's very, very important that this is seen as a process of change rather than just one in-house activity that is being done. And believe me, we are doing this from 99, and so far we have got tremendous response from our schools, and we've seen the curve of development. We started from 3,000 students in 99. It was only 3,000 students that participated at that point of time, and now we reach out to more than 2 lakh students. So the development curve is changing. Schools are now considering that environment education is highly important and highly critical. And these are few ways where we reach out to schools, and we look forward to creating partnerships with schools across the nation. Another project that we do is the Youth Climate Conclave. We do it in the month of January. And this is more for students beyond uh, s- schools. It's more colleges. Schools are there, but since it's February, so most of the schools don't participate because of final exam. But our timeline is such that we have to do it in January, February only. So this is one platform where students across the country come together to learn about science of climate change. And since the senior students are involved, we also take a route of making them understand how governments negotiate when it comes to taking actions on climate change. We tell them what is the role of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, what is the role of Ministry of External Affairs, how negotiations with developed countries and developing countries happen, what is the position of India vis-a-vis position of, say, other South Asian countries or other developed countries. So all these aspects are discussed here, and it's a very good brainstorming 2-3 days with students, which is why I say that students are brighter these days. We get a lot of information from them also, so it's more like a cross sharing. So we've already completed 5 years in this, and the sixth edition we want students to learn about green skills and how climate change can be seen as an opportunity and not just a problem. Uh, this is my last slide. I won't, waste much time on the projects that we do, but these are few examples that you can also take into consideration and see if there is a scope of, uh, partnership, or even if you want to do it on your own, you can do that. So we do this very interesting project called Ocean Matters. It is in the coastal cities. It's not in the northern part of the country. It's in the coastal cities, Chennai, Puducherry, Kochi, all the coastal cities. The idea here is that we train students and teachers on seeing what kind of microplastics are there in oceans and how microplastics are creating problems for our marine ecosystem, our fishes, our coral reefs, etc. Plus, there's another experiment where we where we teach teachers and students is the impact of climate change. How climate change is changing the temperature and salinity of oceans. So these are 2-3 experiments that we do a hands-on with the schools and teachers, and we give them lab equipments. And the idea is that all these experiments are undertaken because we want that students should build some kind of scientific temperament within them, and to see that it is not seen just as a one off activity कि हाँ we हमने best out of waste कर लिया, environment के लिए कुछ कर दिया, or we've done rallies and that's about it. It's not that. There's a lot of research that takes place. There's a lot of studying, doing a research, doing literature review, studying about it takes place. So it's not just one-off activity without thought, without preparation. It's much beyond that, and it's very critical that we come to any conclusion not without doing any research on it. So the idea here is that we inculcate scientific temperament amongst our target group. So in a nutshell, these are some of the critical factors that are very, very important for green school and for the projects that we do. And and I hope that when on 27th you all will be doing your activity, this presentation might be of some help to all of you. And thank you very much for having me here. uh, if you have any questions, we can take up the questions. Or if Dr. Gurpreet, if you have any questions, we can surely have a discussion.
Anyone please wants to ask any question? You please are most welcome. Sir, you want to say something, please?
Actually, the session was so self-explanatory that it is everything is very clear, and I'm very thankful to ma'am that she has delivered such a nice session. I was going through her credential and came to know that she had also worked in a development alternative. And it is just a chance that I was associated with the development alternative when I was the principal of Kendriya Vidyalaya, JNU campus, Delhi. So at that time, we used to send over all the waste, school waste, and development alternative. They used to give us files, and in turn, our children and our teachers are also being trained there in different activities. So it was very interesting to see their office was at Maroli site near that Devi Mandir. So I have very fond memories of uh, development alternative and also of Terry. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I remember in DA, we used to do a project called Clean Project. So many schools from Delhi were involved, and it was a
In
big
2000,
campaign.
in 2000, I was associated with development alternative, and we have conducted many activities. I think the whole year it was activities, one or two activities were going on with the help of this. And I personally visited at that time. I was the principal of the school. I have personally visited development alternative 3 or 4 times with the team.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
So I
Sir,
have
I
very
was
nice.
posted in Jhansi, in a place called Jhansi.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I have very Aradhana, you can ask the question. Aradhana Singh, please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Hello, am I audible to everyone?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Ma'am, actually, I have a question. Though you talk about in your, it's a beautiful session. First of all, I would like to extend that because otherwise I would be failing in my duty before asking a question. Ma'am, you talked about the different schools, or even Gurpreet ma'am talked about, sir, also that in Delhi, basically it's a metropolitan city where there is some organization you ask us to note also, that is IPAC. They ask the different school, they connect with different schools actually to collect the paper waste. Hello, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes,
Please,
ma'am.
please
Yes,
carry
ma'am.
on. Please carry
Yes,
on.
ma'am. But, ma'am, we belong to a very remote area. Probably, sir knows this Renukot Bhavan's KDKBM. Considering it a fact, ma'am, I would like to ask that what alternatives or sustainable alternatives would you suggest for the schools like us, which are actually being placed at very remote areas, that could help children to understand how to regenerate this paper waste into it, because it comes in a large number, whether it is an examination department, whether it is our answer sheet bundles, whether it's the children cutting the making the projects, chart papers and everything. Ma'am, some alternative suggestions, ma'am.
Ma'am, thank you for your question. You've already answered your question in a way. As I said, ma'am, in the beginning, that, since if the schools are in remote locations, or if they have small spaces, we have to think about what we have in our hands. I'll tell you a small example. We work in this very remote location of Tata Steel mining areas. And so mining areas, there is a lot of pollution, there's a lot of emissions, there's a lot of particulate matter within the atmosphere. and schools are situated there, communities are located there, and we work with such schools. And these schools, they are so passionate about environment, so they had a similar issue that no organizations, no NGOs want to go to them, no collection agency, no kudewala wants to go to them to collect their waste. They don't have enough resources to procure, paper recycling machines and all of those things. So, what they did for their paper recycling, this is a case study that I'm sharing, because I will not have a ready made solution. We'll have to see what all we have, what is available with us, and what kind of solution we can think of, how innovatively we can think of. So what these people did, we trained them on paper recycling. We showed them some videos that this is how a proper machine of paper recycling works. So what the teacher did there, so since they couldn't procure a paper recycling machine, they actually made their carpenter work on different frames, like wooden frames. We use a mesh to, and they actually started recycling. They actually constructed the paper recycling machine through the resources that they had within their own school. So there was a video that they referred to. They created, they used to recycle paper in a washing machine. They used to soak the newspapers, sorry, they used to soak all the papers and everything in overnight. They used to grind the paper in a washing machine. Then the entire load of recycle, they used to put it in a mesh, I think they purchased. But all the big frames that are used in that, those were constructed within the school campus by a carpenter using old furniture. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that sky is the limit. We have to be very, very conscious of the fact that what we are reading today, how that knowledge we will be utilizing in our day-to-day actions to come up with solutions, very innovative solutions. And if there is a problem, give it to the students, let them come up with different solutions. And you'll be able to really build a very nice project or a very nice campaign around it. So any problems that you have, don't think it is a problem, it is a challenge. And that is where the opportunity lies. And students come up with very interesting ideas. So I understand, there are many schools who have that problem, who there are people who don't want to go, it's a remote location. In fact, there are schools where there are no vehicles also that could go in. So these are certain attributes that, so we'll have to do whatever is achievable and whatever is manageable in our own time. I'm saying this because I'm not a science graduate, I'm a management professional.
Ma'am, I'm
So we
also not a
also
science graduate, ma'am, because
so
when you were speaking, you told, I probably guess most of the teachers here are from science. I have an English background, ma'am.
okay, that
Considering
is that
it,
is very that is quite nice, because you know what, when it comes to thinking out of the box, we do that because we are not limiting ourselves to just doing what we know. We are trying to build something, we are trying to see what newness can come in. So it's very critical. So I'm saying, why I say I'm talking about resources, because I come from management background, and that is what we are taught, that we'll have to work in the existing norms, or whatever we have to utilize it and get it going. So solutions are there, it's just lying in front, we have to use that as an opportunity.
yes, ma'am, we do have activities like best out of waste for so
Hmm.
that children should understand the importance of they should not be throwing these invitation cards or the wedding cards. In fact, we have this year incorporated paper quilling competition also, so that
Hmm.
they should understand the value of it. कि हाँ उसको डालना है, बिगाना है उसको.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. In
we
fact,
have
मैम
the
हम लोग का भी एक project होता था, project search होता था. It was in 6 7 cities. So there also what we did was that we used to ask schools to segregate waste, dry waste और wet waste अलग अलग करो, और dry waste हम लोग collect करते थे. But उस project में challenge क्या था, that our collection partner always used to explain it to us that they will take the big vehicle to the schools. ठीक है, जब आप एक बड़ा व्हीकल लेकर जाते हो तो उसमें एक्सपेंस आता है, पेट्रोल का एक्सपेंस है, ड्राइवर का एक्सपेंस है. तो वो ये कहते थे कि वेस्ट की क्वांटिटी इतनी होनी चाहिए कि उनका ये वाला कॉस्ट निकल जाए, बट हमारे स्कूल्स के पास उतने क्वांटिटीज नहीं होते थे कि वो उस चीज को, उस फाइनेंशियल चीज को मीट कर सके. So there always used to be a challenge that our collection partner didn't go to the school कि हमारा loss हो जाएगा. So there were few very committed schools. कुछ schools ने बोला हमसे नहीं होगा, we can't do it. But there were few very committed schools. You know what they started doing? They started washing all their dry recyclables. उन्होंने धोया, उसको सुखाया, और उनको बड़े बड़े पैकेट्स में वो खुद उसको कुरियर करने लग गए. So what I'm trying to say is हमने वो solution उनको नहीं दिया था. They thought about a plan, they did it, and then they used to give opportunities to students also कि आज इसकी responsibility है, आज इसकी responsibility है, तो ऐसे करके they managed to do those things. So we'll have to see within ourselves कि हम कितना, how much we want to go beyond the usual norm. मतलब यूजुअल नॉर्म से बाहर जब निकलेंगे तब शायद हम सोल्यूशन की बात कर सकते हैं,
True,
इनोवेशन की
ma'am.
बात कर सकते हैं.
True, ma'am. We understand. Thank you, ma'am.
थैंक यू,
Beautifully,
थैंक यू सो
you have
मच.
clarified out, ma'am. Thanks so much, ma'am.
थैंक्स.
Thanks a lot, ma'am, for such an innovative session. I would like to invite Manisha ma'am for formal vote of thanks. Manisha ma'am, please.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. It's my honor to deliver vote of thanks on behalf of Bhavan Jaisal Public School, Amritsar. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Ms. Taru Mehta ma'am, for insightful and thought-provoking presentation. A big thanks to Dr. Anil Sharma sir, Regional Education Officer, for organizing such a valuable event. As ma'am, you have discussed that green schools are not only energy efficient, environment friendly, but it also foster healthy learning environment for the students. Ma'am, today we have gained valuable insights into key sustainability practices such as effective waste management, energy conservation plans, effective use of transport, and many more such kind of plans. Ma'am, your expertise and clarity has truly enlightened us today, and surely we will move forward with it. Heartfelt thanks to all the organizers for their efforts. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Manisha ma'am. I would like to request everyone to please switch on their videos so that we can have a collective photograph for this session, please. Everyone, please switch on their videos. Please switch on your cameras. Just one more click, please. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much. Now for the second session,